Hey, what's up, everybody? I hope you guys are doing good today. I'm doing well. So, this is the review for Ready to Love season, whatever, episode, whatever. Yes, y'all, I'm a little bit sleepy because I had to work last night, and so I'm just trying to get this video done before I close my eyes. So, let's talk about what happened on the show. All right, so we start off with the gentlemen. They are going to be introducing the ladies to some of their family members. What I wanted to point out here on this episode is that very rarely do the gentlemen introduce the women to their actual family. They're always introducing them to like a cousin or, a brother in law or somebody, not their parents. Not their parents. Sometimes they do, but for the most part, the guys tend to play it really safe when it comes to who they're going to introduce the women to. And I feel like the women need to start doing the same. They need to start following suit. But anyway, I want to start out with Quentin. He is introducing his cousin to Lee as well as Janelle. So we start off with Lee. Basically, everything that Quentin always says about Lee is about how pretty she is and how sweet she is, and that's what drew him into her. Lee talks about how handsome he was and how much they complimented one another. We find out that Lee is a former track star. He said that his cousin Darius used to be a track star as well, and Darius was like, "I know you can't tell now. No, Darius, we cannot. But hey, I understand, brother. Time that time catch up to you, don't it?" But anyway, um, Quentin and Lee also talk about the disconnect that they had at the house. They not only talk about it there, but they also go on a date where they end up talking about it, which I'll talk about in just a minute. But they didn't get a lot of time together. And Quentin was like, "Yeah, I wasn't really connecting with you in the house." And Lee was just like, "You didn't even try." And I was glad she told him that. But Quentin knows that he needed to do better. And when she leaves, we find out that cousin Darius did like her and thought that she was very sweet. Then we move on to cousin Darius meeting Janelle, and Quentin is all smiles when he meeting with the Wicked Witch of the South. He loved him some Janelle. She even comments that he's given her loving eyes. I said, "Girl, you might be ovulating. Sometimes they get real close to you when you start ovulating. It's that animalistic nature of it all." But they talk about what attracted them to each other. Everybody always asks the same questions, why do you like him? What drew you to him? What drew you to her? But she likes that he is authentic and they just have this really genuine connection. They connected a lot at the house, and Quentin really likes Janelle. Like it's very obvious the differences between how he behaves around Lee and how he behaves around Janelle. Now, is he going to be serious and go the long haul with Janelle? That part I don't know, and mainly because of this whole children thing. He does say that Janelle wishes to adopt. He wants his own biological children. That is a very big deal to him. She might be able to give him one, but with the age difference, some things are going to be off the table for her. And she's been very honest with Quentin about that. They also talk about what else? Oh, one of the differences I noticed is that while Lee is much more adventurous and like doesn't mind doing stuff like whitewater rafting or zip lining, going out the country, Janelle is more low key, kind of, playing a few games at the house type of person, right? So just keep those differences in mind. And cousin Darius says that he really likes Lee, thought that she was very sweet. However, he sees how connected Quentin is to Janelle, and Quentin understands that he just wishes that Janelle was a little bit younger so that they could have time to do the things that he would like to do. So, catch 22. We have to see what Quentin decides. Later, we see Quentin and Lee go on a date, and they do have a conversation about the disconnect that they had at the house. Lee is gorgeous. Her body is amazing. Her voice is annoying. I don't know if her voice annoys anybody else, but it does annoy me. But they just aren't connected. It's just not there. I don't see it. at all. I know that Quentin is attracted to her visually. He thinks she's very pretty, and he does know that Lee is a good catch, and she's a very sweet girl, and she's a good girl. But what did I tell y'all last week? Notice the good girls are not the ones really being pursued, and I put rabbit ears around good girl because that's subjective. But what I'm saying is the ones that would be considered a catch are not being caught. The ones that would be considered problematic are definitely getting the guys, or at least getting the attention. And not saying that these guys are a prize. I'm just saying, you notice how the game is going. Later, we see Lee meet up with nephew Tyler Perry, nephew Tommy, for those of you who don't know how it goes on my channel, because she's not really feeling it. She doesn't really know what's going on with her and Quentin. He 1 minute seems to be interested, but when they have their conversation during the date, she is very deflated that he seems to still have her at number 2 and Janelle at number 1. He's still confused about it. And since Chris is gone, I think Lee has now realized she doesn't really have that many connections. Quentin will not be choosing her. He still seems to be strongly connected to Janelle. Is strongly connected to Janelle. So she is talking to nephew Tommy about what she needs to do. And spoiler alert, she does end up leaving the show and choosing herself, but Quentin don't know that yet. We'll talk about that at the end. All right, so Phil is having Aries meet his Aunt Tammy and his cousin Jonita. And y'all, forgive me if I sound like I'm trying to catch on to what's going on. I actually am going from notes. Y'all know I normally watch the show and then comment as the show goes on, but I couldn't do it that way this time. So I'm actually going from my little scrambled up notes. So when they meet with each other, of course, the same questions come up. What drew you to Phil? Where are y'all connected? And she said they connected not only just with the great personalities and the laughter they share, but also because of they both lost their dads. And so they were able to relate on that. And Phil actually was able to help her through the grief process since he was a little bit further along. So they talked about that and they kind of connected on that level. What gives Aries pause? Aunt Tammy asks. And she does bring up Phil's stability once again. She makes it clear that she does have 2 sons, and that is something that is very important to her. She's, I think, had some issues in the past, and so she just wants to make sure that they both can create a very stable life together. Well, Phil is starting to get a little annoyed with Aries for bringing this up, and he does comment that the reason why he started all over, because Aries mentioned that he did, the reason why he started all over was because the job that he had previously had a lot of travel to it, and so that's why he got back to a more stable environment so that he could be around more, so that he could have more stability, and of course be around more for his child. Aunt Tammy makes a statement that she understands why that would be a concern for her, because you want to make sure the man in your life is stable and gainfully employed. And I was just like, gainfully employed, child? You can be gainfully employed down to the Foot Locker. No disrespect to my fellow referee wearers, but we're talking about true stability. And I think Aries keeps bringing it up because Phil never really gives a clear answer. There's always like some kind of joke behind it. Like the last time they talked about it, he made a joke a little bit behind it, or he just kind of talks. I'm thinking what Aries is wanting is for him to go a little bit more in depth about how stable I'm just going to put it plainly, his finances are. And I know some people are going to be like, oh, well, they are just dating each other and you might not get down to the nitty gritty like that in the very beginning. But once they go on their solo date and start talking about what they want for the future or what they want in a partner, and Phil says, love, and he don't need much, just love and laughter, and that's all he really needs. He doesn't require much. Aries says, oh, well, I got friends for that. What I need is more loyalty. And again, she needs security. She needs stability. Now Phil truly says he's getting upset that she keeps mentioning that again. And I think Aries is just trying to make the best decision for herself. Now, I understand how it might be coming off to feel like, are you a gold digger? Do you just want me for my money? I don't think that's what it is. And I don't think she's trying to put him down either, like his job ain't worth nothing. But it seems that Aries has made a mistake before in going with the feel good partner, and she just can't do that again. She's trying to make better decisions for herself, and feels like Aries is trying to put him in a box that some other man may have been in, like some other man may have screwed up in the stability area and you're trying to put me in it. I get both sides, but this is the thing, and some people will say it's not that deep or it's not that serious, but my friend says something all the time: you want to get to my body, you want to get deep inside of me, but you don't want me to ask you no questions. And I actually concur. I just think that, Phil hasn't really solidified an answer. Everything he says is, I'm stable, I'm successful within my own right. What does that mean? What does that mean? What does successful within my own right mean? And it has to be something else happening in these conversations where Aries is still not feeling secure with his answer. So Phil's getting annoyed. Aries is worried. I really do understand both parts of it, because I understand him being like, well, what is it do you want? And I understand her being like, I need to know what it is you got going on, because this ain't playtime. And his answers on camera anyway do very much give off playtime. So I understand. And y'all, before y'all say I just do this with the men, I do not, because y'all remember how I was about old girl who could not find any of her children's fathers to bring to introduce to anybody. Some people were saying they understood it. I was saying, like, no. I need a little bit more clarity on those situations. So if I'm going to say it about the guys, I'm going to say it about the women too. I do try to be fair over here. As fair as I want to be now, because, I'm still a woman at the end of the day. So some biases may come up, but in this situation, I'm trying to be fair about how I see it. What do y'all think, though? Do y'all feel like Phil is giving clear answers or no? All right, so we got Gerald Levert Jr., aka Morier, meeting with his cousin so he could introduce her to Jessica and did I say that already? So he can introduce her to Jessica and Katerina. Now this cousin, y'all, is real extra, because we real protective of our cousin, and if he say something, we gonna call him out, but if you do something, we gonna call you out too. Well, you're in good company, because Jessica don't play either. So y'all should fit right in together. She says that him and Jessica look good together. Morier makes mention of the fact that they're both Tauruses, to which Jessica is like, I don't really even do all of that astrology stuff. The cousin also notices that Morier prayed before they ate, and she was just like, that don't normally happen. But what the cousin does notice is that Jessica is not really into spirituality and all of the things that Morier is interested in. She also says that Jessica reminds her of his mom. She agrees with Morier on that, because Morier was like, yeah, she reminds me so much of my mama, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. I guess it depends on how you feel about your mama, right? So then when the cousin meets Katerina, like I already told y'all, sometimes I wonder if she's just going along to get along, because she just seems to, fall in with everybody. Every guy she goes on a date with, they seem to concur on so many things. Not all of them, but a lot of the guys on this show, at least 3. So anyway, the cousin asks about the spirituality, to which Katerina is on board. They sharing crystals, and she's very spiritual. She's also willing to move. She's also open to having kids or not having kids. She's just like, Katerina is whatever, okay? Whatever you trying to do. So in the end, although the cousin does know that Morier likes Jessica more, they seem to not really be as compatible as him and Katerina. Jessica is not very spiritual. Jessica wants to possibly have 3 children. Morier is fine with not having any more. He already has his one. Morier also wants to move to Africa at some point in time. Seems like Katerina can do the spiritual. She can move, and she okay with not having kids. So she might be more compatible for you. Now, when him and Jessica go out on an individual date, they talk more about the fact that he wants to move to Africa, to the point where he's already getting started with the visa process and the dual citizenship, and Jessica's not sure she wants to do that. Okay, this is what I think. Katerina is more compatible with Morier as far as we know. Because again, I'm still not sure if Katerina just be saying okay to stuff. But maybe it is really who she is and she's fine with all these things. She's just an easygoing girl. Jessica, to me, is just not a good fit. Morier, when a man tell you he fine with not having no more kids, don't have no more kids. I'm serious. Don't have any more, because you're gonna regret it. But Jessica wants children. She wants to live in America. She's not with spirituality. When your values don't align, it's one thing to have different personalities. But when your core values are not in alignment, it usually does not work out well. Once the lust wears out, once the infatuation wears out, y'all got to deal with the hard stuff. And religion is one of those. Religion is a hard thing to get past. Unless you're with somebody that's extremely flexible, it's usually not going to work, especially when one person is very deeply religious and the other person is spiritual. Does it work? Sometimes, but usually y'all at least either have to have a lot of respect for what the other person is doing, which I don't think Jessica respects what he's doing, or y'all have to be very similar in alignment with what you're doing, and they're not. So I just don't think these two are a good fit. But that's not to say that I think Morier and Katerina are a good fit. I don't think nobody on this show is a good fit. But anyway, the cousin does feel like Katerina is a better fit, even though he likes Jessica more. So he has to figure out what he's gonna do. Whoops, my clip, it cut off, but he has to figure out what he is going to do as well. So let us move on to the next one. Oh, I think we got everybody. I'm looking at my notes. We sure do. Okay, so let's get over to the fellas meeting with nephew Tommy. So the fellas meet up. I cannot believe we're at the end of this show. Like, the connections are so blah. They meet up with nephew Tommy, and that's when Quentin does discover that Lee has gone bye-bye. And he looks, it's weird. It's like, you know you didn't want Lee, but it's almost like you now looking longingly like, oh man, I hate Lee left because I did want to finish out the process with her. Why? You just wanted to be the one to tell her no? Because you don't want her. You want Janelle. Did you just want the option? You like having the option, don't you? It feel good, don't it? Feel good to know that two women want you. Where she gone? Okay, she made the best decision for herself. Deal with it. So they all just talk about the conundrums that they're having. Phil doesn't like that Aries keeps asking about his stability. And didn't he say he did some stand-up comedy? Did I hear that right? Okay, well then now I do understand why she might keep asking, because entertainment, you know how entertainment can go. Then we have Morier saying he's kind of trying to make a decision between somebody that feels like familiar to him. He said it's almost like meeting a woman that you've been dating and then meeting a new woman. Baby, at this point in the process, you don't need to be meeting nobody new. You need to be making some hard decisions at this time. So nephew Tyler Perry says nobody's leaving. Y'all need to go over here to this corner and figure out what you're gonna do. So nobody is getting eliminated on this episode. Not that we see. The guys are just trying to figure out what they are going to do. They have to make a decision. And so Phil, are you gonna be enough for Aries? Q, you don't have to make a decision anymore. The decision has already kind of been made for you. And Morier, do you want a new feeling, or do you want to go with the familiar feeling? What is everybody going to do? This is all a waste of time. None of these people have any connections. I can't remember the last time we had a season this bad, y'all. But let me know what you guys think. Like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you for the next one. Bye.